Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean, just bringing you another installment of Next War Poland. This will be turn 8, and I have completed all the way up through the first supply phase. So we've done weather, initiative, detection phase, special forces, air naval, strike phase, and supply. So before I get any farther, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving for those of you that live in America and or celebrate it. So happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully you get a lot of gaming in. So weather ended up being overcast again. Initiative is a contested turn, so that really hasn't changed in a while, and it probably won't for a while. We did a couple of random events, which, let's see, so the Allies got the successful cyber attack, so we reduced the Russian detection track by 1, which is good. And then the Russians got the additional vertical lift, so they got +2 friendly air mobile points for the turn, which really isn't that big of a deal for the Russians. Haven't been doing a whole lot of air mobile movement, and I think they have plenty of air mobile points anyway, so that was really a kind of a bum roll for them. Let's see, so we did special forces phase. So detection phase, you can see that those 2 surface action groups were detected. Those 2 surface action groups were detected by point. The American carrier group was area detected. Blah, blah, blah. We had a bunch of, there was a lot of headquarters detected on the Russian side. It's pretty easy for the Allies to do detection now because we have the AWACS advantage, we have air supremacy, so basically makes detecting headquarters a lot easier. Special forces, so if we look here, you've got the red cubes represent Russian special forces, and the white cubes represent Allied special forces. So we detected, we hit that. I don't remember if they did anything. The detection markers moved to here now, but that is from Wild Weasel attacks that I'll cover later. And then the Russians tried to hit the detection track and were unsuccessful. Allies tried to target that headquarters. It was already detected, but we wanted to put a targeting marker on it to make it easier to hit it with airstrikes, but we were not successful. Then we go over here. So all the Allies, all the white cubes are special forces. And then there's another one up there. So basically what we were trying to do is, because all of these headquarters were already detected during the detection phase, I wanted to put targeting markers on them so I could, again, hit them with airstrikes. But none of them were successful. I think I had 6 total missions, and none of them passed. And then we lost 1 special forces group from the Netherlands. The Russians, on the other hand, we had 4. We had the one on the air defense track. I think they tried to further cause damage to that airfield there. Tried to take out that helicopter. That is reduced from a previous turn, not from this turn. And then we tried to, I think, cause further damage to that airfield right there. So the Russians had 4 missions. None of them were successful, and 3 of the special forces units were eliminated in the process. So the Russians only have 1 more special forces unit left. The Allies have, I think, 5 or 6. So not looking good for the Russians as far as special forces go. But from my experience so far in the game, you're not going to win or lose the game with special forces. They're just another asset to be used. Most of the time they're not successful, but I mean, sometimes they are. So after the special forces, we had the air phase. So we'll go back over to the strategic display, and you can see that the brown box is the Russian air superiority box. There's no planes in there. Well, the Russians are getting very low on aircraft. And most of these aircraft, I think that one right there, that 5001 and that 3001, those are their really good ones, or their best air-to-air fighters. They don't have a whole lot of those. They're running really low. And you can see that now that the Allies have all these different nationalities getting involved in the war. They're drawing like every reinforcement phase, the Allies are getting like 3 air units. So the Russians, they can't, it's almost impossible for them to get, they'll never get air supremacy, which is a 5-to-1 advantage, 5 planes to 1 plane. The Russians I had moved it up there. The Russians will never get a 5-to-1, at least not at this stage in the game. Could they get a 3-to-1? I don't even think they can get a 3-to-1. So the best they can hope for is maybe advantage, but because the Allies outnumber them so bad, I didn't put any planes up, just because each air unit that's eliminated is 2 victory points. And can't afford to be losing them, and so I think they'd lose them. So I didn't put anything into the air superiority. So basically the Allies have air superiority. They can almost at will do whatever they want. Yeah, the Allies still have to worry about air defenses, SAMs and AAA, which the Russians have quite a bit of that. So, but that's kind of the state of the air phase. From there we go on to the strike phase. First you have nukes, and the Russians are the only ones that can initiate with nukes. So the Russians still don't want to use nukes yet, because it's a bad deal when you start doing that. And then we go on to cruise missiles and ballistic missiles. The Russians used everything they had this turn. And basically what I decided I was going to try to do is target these NATO holding boxes. Basically these are the airfields not in Poland, right? So scattered all over Europe, England and Europe. And by doing this, by targeting these things and causing damage, which I did in 3 of the missile strikes, it basically removes, during the next air phase, it will remove some of these planes from play. So rather than being in the ready box, I have to move aircraft into the flown box. So the Russians are kind of trying to circumvent having to go toe-to-toe in the air by, let's see if we can take out a bunch of airfields. And they were successful in 3 of them. I don't think they took out any on the operational map. Yeah, I don't think they did. But, I mean, this was good, but they exhausted every missile they had to do it, so that wasn't good. The Allies targeted these 2 surface action groups with missiles. They were only able to hit 1 of them. They're trying to push these guys out of the northern Baltic so we can move these surface action groups up into the northern Baltic. And so I was kind of thinking, hey, maybe I might be able to do an amphibious invasion into, one of these 2 places, but I kind of need to start getting control of this area to do that. So that's kind of where my thought is on that. Targeted, see the Allies, that was a headquarters that I targeted. There was a headquarters there, I destroyed it, but not with the missiles, but I'll get to that. Targeted that guy with missiles. I think that's it. The Allies still have quite a few missiles left, so they're kind of keeping their stuff in reserve. So after the cruise missiles come the aircraft. So the Russians only did 1 mission. So they did this mission. They used these 2 bombers, and they tried to take out this nuclear weapons storage facility in NATO, because those are worth a lot of points. I think they're worth like 5 points if you can take one out. They were not successful. They were detected, but not early enough to get interceptors in the air, so they were just attacked with surface-to-air missile fire, and I think the result was this guy was reduced 1. But the bombs fell short of their target and didn't do anything to the weapons facility. And then another big one here is the Wild Weasels. These are like, what are they? They are electronic warfare planes. So they targeted the Russian detection track. At the start of the turn, it was here. So it was at a 7, now it's at a 4. So basically what we did is we weakened their radar systems so that it is harder for them to detect our airplanes, the ally airplanes in the sky. So if you can't see them, you can't shoot at them, right? So that's basically was the whole purpose of the Wild Weasels, and that's what I did with those guys. And then we have these other airstrikes. So have all these high-tech bombers with, you know, laser guided missiles and everything else. And so I was like, okay, I'm looking at the map here and trying to figure out, all right, I need to slow down. If I want to really hurt the Russians, I need to start hitting them in their supply. And here. So I need to start hitting the Russian supply lines. So this turn was a really long one for me just because I got AP really bad. I got analysis paralysis really bad. Because I started looking at all these road networks on the map. You know, I got this, that's a big Russian supply. Kaliningrad is a source of supply. So how do I stop supply from getting to where it needs to go? I have to hit these roads. And I can do it in one of two ways. I can interdict, or I can start taking these bridges out with air power. So I'm like trying to look at it, and I started analyzing it, and I was like, okay, what bridges can I target? What hexes can I target with interdiction? So it took me a long time. I'm talking like an hour and a half to figure out what I wanted to do. So I was like, okay, I got all these stealth bombers. I mean, these things could be, I've seen video from the Persian Gulf where you're dropping a missile through a window. So I should be able to take out bridges, but it doesn't really work like that in this game. I don't know if that's by design or I don't know. So, all right, what do we got? We've got the green mission here that's got a pair of stealth bombers. And I decided that I was going to try to take this bridge out right here. Because if you look, you got a supply unit right there, Russian. If I take that bridge out, supplies can't go this way. So the only other way they can come down is from this way. So I was going to interdict this hex, this road and this hex. So if I could interdict this and take out this bridge here, I could effectively take out all these, well, not take them out, but they would be out of supply. This whole 58th Corps, Russian Corps. So that was my plan. Of course, my stealth bombers, they missed their mark. They did not hit that bridge. This B-52 here was detected by the Soviet air defenses, even after I would pretty much weakened them with the Wild Weasels, so the mission was aborted. So I could not interdict this hex. Let's see here. The green cube was a B-1 bomber and a B-52 bomber. We basically hit that headquarters and put a strike 2 marker on it, which was a good thing. So that was relatively successful. That blue cube right there is this B-52 bomber, and they successfully conducted Operation Rolling Thunder and blew this headquarters into little pieces of dust and metal. So this guy was successful, so that was pretty cool. I kind of enjoyed that. And then we have this F-15, which we tried to target that bridge right there. So if I could have hit that bridge, it would have cut supply from Kaliningrad, and it would have cut supply off to this unit here, the stack units here, and pretty much all these dudes right here. So that's kind of where I was with the aircraft strike phase. Things didn't work out the way I wanted to, though, unfortunately. Then we had all the headquarters strikes, so they get to do their thing. So the Russians in this game, they have, you can see right there, they have headquarters, and then they also have these standalone artillery brigades. So headquarters have artillery organic to them, but then the Russians also have standalone artillery, or they're called inorganic artillery brigades. American forces don't do that. All of our artillery tends to be organic to a headquarters. So American units in this game, there are no standalone artillery units. But you have headquarters strikes / artillery unit strikes, which are basically the same thing. The Russians are just a little bit better with the artillery ones. So that's where all these strike markers are. So we have the city of Elblag, I don't know, I guess that's pronounced right there. And then we have Gdansk over here. So the Allies basically, so you can use the headquarters strikes. You're very rarely going to take a unit out with it, but you will weaken it. So for example, you put that strike 2 marker on there, and let me get my tweezers out. So basically what a strike marker does, if it's a strike 1 or a strike 2, so you have attack, defense. So the first number is attack, the 4 is defense, and the 6 with the circle around it is your movement, and then the other 6 up here is your efficiency rating. So a strike 1 will reduce all of those numbers by 1. So now basically your 3, 4, 6 unit is now a 2, 3, 5 unit, and the efficiency drops as well. So a strike 2 drops each one of those numbers by 2 to a minimum of 1. So you can't go below 0, or can't go below 1. So what the Allies were trying to do, so I'm thinking, hey, maybe I want to take these 2 units here, these 2 Polish units, and attack this hex. Well, I weaken them. I prep the battlefield with the artillery and the headquarters strikes, and I weaken this stack of units here. So, for example, this turn, I did strike 2 markers on all the units in the hex. So basically, the attack and defense strength of that entire hex has been halved due to strikes. So that's what you see all over the map. That's what the strikes are. So that's what the Allies are doing, right? They're looking at this as a way to weaken the defenses, because the Russians aren't quite on the defense yet, but they're slowly starting to, they're not advancing the way they were before. So that's the whole reason. So the Allies did all that to prep for the attack, and the Russians do the strikes to kind of weaken some of these stronger units on the board. Like, you know, we hit the Russians hit the 101st Airborne Division headquarters, and they hit that headquarters over there. So, so there's going to be a lot of stuff going on up here in the north. The middle, not quite as much is going on. You can see a little bit of action here and there, but not a whole lot. And then we got the defense of Warsaw down here, which the 82nd Airborne Division is doing their best to make sure that Warsaw does not fall. So a good thing for the Allies is when we took out that northwest, the Belarusian Northwest Corps headquarters, it put all those units out of supply. I think it's, so what do we got? We've got an artillery brigade that is no longer in supply, and then we've got 2 brigades, 2 mechanized infantry brigades completely out of supply. So that was a good thing by taking out that headquarters, and now we've got the 58th Corps that we were trying to weaken a little bit here so that they cannot push any farther south. And of course, the 58th Corps was hitting, I think this is I want to say it's 1st Cav. Yeah, it's the 2nd Brigade, 1st Cav. So, you know, they're hitting these guys here. So the defense of Warsaw is still going strong. And the Allies are basically, they're fighting back now. We're getting a lot of units on the board. We got an American, German, very small Italian coalition down here, and a couple of Polish units too, but it's primarily the 82nd Airborne Division and the 1st Cav down here in the south. We've got mostly Polish, and we've got some Germans here, and I think this is the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment. Yep, 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment right there, trying to shore things up in the center. And then over here we've got a lot of Polish units. We've got the United States Marine Corps. We've got, so the Marines here. We've got the 101st Airborne Division, or Air Assault. It's 101st Air Assault. It is Airborne Division is the official name, but they're an Air Assault Division, or Air Mobile. We have got, I think this is Spain. I want to say these, I always get these colors mixed up. I think yellow is Spain. We've got the Spanish coming in to help. We've got the Rapid Reaction Corps with, who is that right there? That is Italians. Got some French right here. French are starting to move in. We've got some British Commandos and some more Spanish right there. We've got some British coming onto the board this turn. We've got some more French coming on. And then we've got the rest of the 101st, the whole rest of the divisions coming in. We've got some more British units, some German Jaegers, some more Marines. The Marines had to come in by foot because I don't have any amphibious assets in the North Sea for them to jump on board. So these guys got to do it the old-fashioned way. They might be able to get on that AMF maybe if they port. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works. And then we got a French aviation brigade. So there you have it, folks. You know, kind of what's going on. Why is that stupid thing? There we go, autofocus. I hope it's not too out of focus for the rest of it. But anyway, everybody, I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving and a great weekend. And I might be able to get one more video posted this weekend. We'll have to see what happens. But anyway, peace.